So hi, good morning everybody. I'm Roger Griffin, Sales Director of OSSM, and I'm delighted to join you on our Scaling Up with NetSuite webinar this morning. It's my privilege to introduce my colleague Lisa Costello, who's part of our NetSuite team here at OSSM. Lisa will be taking us through NetSuite very shortly. So we're a NetSuite solution provider. Our agenda this morning is quite simple. After this introduction, I'm going to help explain why NetSuite would be a suitable solution for your company's ERP project. And furthermore, why OSSM are best placed to help you with that implementation. I'm going to be then passing across to Lisa, who's going to be taking you through the high-level NetSuite demo and introduction to NetSuite on how it can help scale your business. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll finish up with a Q&A. So if there is any questions or queries, please enter them in the chat panel as we go. So firstly, why NetSuite? So NetSuite has been the first true cloud ERP application. Celebrated its 25th birthday last year, so something that's been around since 1998. It's always been designed to run that way, in the cloud, in a multi-tenanted environment, no servers, just access via a browser from any device. It was acquired by Oracle in 2016. There's now 37,000 companies using the NetSuite to run their business. Because it's multi-company environment, that represents over 250,000 companies that are operating and running their business on NetSuite. Because it's true cloud, everybody's on exactly the same version. So no more costly upgrades or version locks. The system will upgrade itself silently in the background twice a year, and any configurations or customizations that have been done to your system will all have been completed. We'll see that again, what you get with NetSuite is it gives you the capability to run your entire business and everything right through, so that it's not an individual department, but everything through the entire business. In a further session, we can show you how easy it is for non-technical users to do what we call codeless customizations, and these are all protected during the upgrade process. So why would you choose OSSM to implement NetSuite for you? It's really down to our experience, down to our experience of working with companies like yours on similar projects. We're part of the knowledge group. We've been implementing ERP systems for 20 plus years, expert teams across each of the departments within the group, supporting almost 400 different customers. Our approach is based on NetSuite's Suite Success, which is the templated approach to an implementation. You're not restricted in any way, but it means we're not having to reinvent the wheel each time, and we can guarantee a predictable outcome for you within your project. So again, the three parts of what Lisa is going to be covering at this stage is going to be covering an introduction to NetSuite, but particularly focusing on One World, which is the multi-company element to it, and how this can really help drive and manage performance for a scaling business with dashboards and KPIs, as you'll see them coming through very shortly. One of the things that we're also going to cover on is the idea of a NetSuite employee portal, but Lisa will be covering that in due course. So at this stage, Lisa, without further ado, I will pass across and you can take control.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen. So good morning, everybody. As Roger said, my name is Lisa Costello, and I'm one of the support consultants with OSSM for NetSuite. So before we get started, I'm just going to turn my camera off. Okay. So as you can see at the moment, I'm logged into NetSuite. And when I log into NetSuite, I get my dashboard, and it's my homepage for when I log into NetSuite. NetSuite is a web-based application, so all you need is an internet connection to get logged in. You don't need servers or anything like that, or VPNs or any of that type of connection. So this homepage is, it consists of portlets, and it's designed to suit the role of the user that's logged in. And at the moment, I'm logged in as administrator, so I have access to all of the features within NetSuite and all of the menu options. So just to give you a quick run through of the dashboard, up the top of the screen here, I have this search bar, and this is like the Google search of NetSuite. So say, for example, I have a customer that rings up. They give me their name, but not their company name. So they just give me their name themselves. So rather than me trying to figure out what company it is that they work for, I can type in their name. that they give me, and it gives me all of the contacts that are available with that name. So what I can do is I can right click on the contacts and I can click on open link in a new tab, in a new window. Because NetSuite is web-based, you can have multiple tabs open. If you work with two screens, you can click and drag things over and have them on two windows side by side. So if a customer does ring up and you're in the middle of running something and you need to look for an invoice, rather than you trying to type in the full number, because we all know at some point invoice numbers can get quite complicated, you can use wildcards. So I'm going to type in my invoice to narrow down that I'm looking for an invoice. I can use percentage sign to narrow down that it only lets the system look for invoices for me. And 429. Nope, we don't have any in here. What it will do is if I have an invoice number, the wildcard narrows down the search for me, and it'll only bring up things that match. So if I was able to find an invoice, I could click and drag it and open it up on a separate tab rather than having to close what I was in the middle of working on, and I can continue to work away. So as I was saying there is, I'll come back to speak to more about the portlets and the dashboards in a couple of minutes. So the first thing we're going to talk about is One World in NetSuite and what it is in NetSuite. So it's the main feature in NetSuite that helps it stand out against other ERP systems. It's a single database for all subsidiaries and all transactions. The huge benefit of having a One World setup is all your data is held in a single source. So all your transactions are entered into the system, they're consolidated at a group level. So there's no need to push values from each company into consolidation company at month end. And the easiest way to show the big benefit of this is to show you a report. So I'm going to run my balance sheet here in NetSuite. So on my balance sheet here at the moment, it's running at a parent level. So I could have multiple subsidiaries in my company, and when I run my balance sheet at a parent level, it's just going to group all of those balances together, and I get one total for all of my companies. So one massive grievance we heard from customers with multiple companies is that when they want to run a balance sheet or a P&L for all of their subsidiaries, they either have to run a consolidation routine, or they have to go into each individual company, export the report from each subsidiary into Excel, and then merge them all onto the same spreadsheet. Then you have certain problems when there's GL codes in one subsidiary and not another, and things don't align correctly. And then maybe they don't want to do consolidation until month end because there's a load of hassle in it, and they want to be able to run the balance sheet or a P&L mid-month. In NetSuite, you run your balance sheet as normal. And at the bottom of the screen here, you have this option for your column total. So it is just giving me one total for everything. But I can choose my subsidiary and then click refresh. And then that's it. So what it's done here now is split out the balances per subsidiary and then my total figures. So there's no need for getting all of the information in separate subsidiaries, merging them onto Excel. I can run the report, change how it runs by total, run it by subsidiary, click refresh, job done. All of the reports in NetSuite are drillable. So what I can do is I can click on any of these figures here or any of these GL codes. When I drill into that, I'll get a more detailed version of the report. So I get all transactions that make up that balance. Then when I go into the detail report, I'll then be able to go all the way into the transaction. You can drill all the way down to the individual transaction, whether it's a journal or an invoice or a credit or a memo. You can drill all the way down to get the information. And again, as we say with NetSuite, it's web-based. You can open all of these extra windows on separate tabs. So you don't have to go all the way back, close out of your report. You can have everything open as you need. And then when you're finished with it, close it all up, rather than rerunning reports all of the time. All of the reports that you have in NetSuite, they're all exportable to Excel, to PDF, to Word, to email. And when you export them to Excel, they appear exactly as they are on the screen. There's no formatting changes, so they stay exactly as they are. So as your company grows and scales, you may have more reporting requirements and how things are broken down. In my column option here, we also have options for departments. So the departments are for functional departments within your organization, such as sales, accounts, or marketing. We'll also have by location. So it can be used for multiple stock locations or analyze costs by locations if you have multiple locations. And then we also have classes. So the classes can be used to identify different revenue streams. And if departments, locations, and classes are not enough, we also have custom reporting segments that can be used. All of these can be used for your reporting needs. So the next thing we're going to talk about is intercompany transactions. So I'm just going to move along here. So intercompany transactions, they're eliminated at consolidation. So this removes the need for complex reconciliations across subsidiaries at period end. So there is a period end checklist, which you'll see on screen at the moment. This will take you through each step that needs to be completed. And the options here that are visible will depend on the, will depend on what features you have enabled in NetSuite. So I'll just open it up here. So if you do have multiple subsidiaries and you're doing intercompany transactions as part of your period end, you will see we have an option here for create intercompany adjustments. And we also have eliminate intercompany transactions. So you don't have to worry about missing any of these steps because you cannot fully close a period until all items on the checklist are fully completed. CTA adjustments are also automatically calculated upon reconciliation. There are also reports available out of the box to help with intercompany transactions. So in NetSuite, you'll have an intercompany reconciliation report. This is used to identify matched or incorrectly matched intercompany transactions. And then we also have an intercompany elimination report. And this provides an audit trail of all intercompany eliminations for a period. So another benefit that we're going to talk about is for the One World environment is transactions that are entered through a single login. So all entities within the one group, there is no need to fret if the user was logged into the correct company when entering a transaction. But as we also say, don't worry, you can't have somebody entering something for a subsidiary that they don't have access to. So you do need to allow permissions to subsidiaries. Access to subsidiaries is controlled by permissions and roles, and admins will have access to all subsidiaries. So at the moment, I'm logged as administrator. I have access to all subsidiaries on my in the company. So while I'm back on my dashboard, I want to show you this port that I have on screen. It's called a subsidiary navigator. It shows the subsidiary structure that I have set up. And I'm currently, as I said, I'm currently logged in as admin. I have access to all subsidiaries. If I didn't have access to a subsidiary when I logged in and show my subsidiary navigator, if I don't have access to that subsidiary, I wouldn't see it on my map. Sorry, excuse me. So it shows the subsidiary structure that I currently have set up. I can select to view the parent company. I have the parent company selected, so all of the child companies are also highlighted or they're all colored in gray as well. All my reminders here, these are all set up to help me do my job. They're tasks that need to be done, or they're roles and they're tasks that need to be completed. If I'm logged in and I only want to deal with the Ireland subsidiary for the time being, I can click on Ireland. And as I do that, if you have a look at the reminders portlet, my reminders changed based on the subsidiary that's selected. And if I choose the United Kingdom, my reminders will update again, or I can go back to the parent company. And again, my reminders will update as per all subsidiaries. So another thing you might notice about on my dashboard is the subsidiaries that I have, they're all based in different countries. So as your business grows, you may need to expand into new territories. Tax reporting is across all jurisdictions. So there's no need for separate systems for different tax legislations. The one system can deal with any tax in any country that you decide to suit your business needs. Each of your subsidiaries may deal with different base currencies. So that's no problem for NetSuite. It truly is multi-currency. You can set up any currency that your business needs. And the currencies can be set up to auto-update each day, which will minimize the impact of large currency fluctuations. There's also a full history of your exchange rate saved. So you can go back and see what the exchange rate was on a specific date. And NetSuite will calculate currency translation adjustments for group consolidations when multi-subsidiary currencies are in use. So that's everything I'm going to discuss about One World. So the next thing we're going to do is move on to dashboards and KPIs in NetSuite. So for this, I'm going to change my role. So if you keep an eye on my dashboard, once I switch into a new role, my dashboard changes. So your dashboard, it's going to be a collection of real-time data. The specific content of your dashboard depends on your user role. Your dashboard content is displayed in a variety of portlets, dynamic display data windows. Some portlets provide direct access to raw data, and others display data that has been converted into critical business metrics, such as KPIs, performance scorecards, trend graphs, and report snapshots. KPIs enable you to spend more time learning from and acting on important data and less time gathering your information. Out of the box, NetSuite has 75 pre-packaged KPIs based on NetSuite standard reports, including a summary of forecasts, pipeline orders, cases, and financial data. But you can also create your own. So if you create your own save search in NetSuite, you can also save that as a KPI. And NetSuite has the following types of dashboard portlets. So we have KPIs. So you can see my main one here on the screen. So KPIs, these display a summary line for each KPI that's selected with clickable links. So everything that's here, and it becomes underlined when you click on them, it means that you can click on those and it will bring you into the transactions that make up that data. To set these up, it's quite easy. So when you have your KPI portlet added to your desktop and you hover over these three dots here, you have the option to click Setup. So these are all the KPIs that I have on my dashboard at the moment. So what you first do is you select your KPI, whichever one you want to add. Is it custom or a standard? You choose the range that you want to see. So do you want it to be for this month? Do you want it to be for this rolling year, this week to date? You have a lot of options. So it could be a year to date, things like that. You can pick. There's loads of them there to choose from. Highlight. So if you can see from my KPI here, I have these options, or these KPIs are highlighted at the top. You can have them set to always be highlighted, or you can always set a threshold if the percentage of variance is a certain amount, that then it is highlighted to be brought to your attention. You can also choose when if you want this to be compared. If you don't want to be compared, you can leave this checkbox left blank. If you do want to compare it, when do you want to compare it to? Do you want it to be this time last year, the same period of last year, last month, or previous years? You can choose what your comparison time frame is. Once you've selected and set up your KPI and added in the comparison information, click Save, and then your KPI is shown on your dashboard. Once it's been set up, you can also set up your KPI in a meter version. So this is the one that I have over here, and it's my KPI meter. So you can only have one, your meter will only show one KPI metric at a time, but you can always click on your drop-down list and you can choose which one you show as a meter. But you will notice here, the options that I have to choose from are the same as what I have over here on my KPIs, on my KPI indicator. So whatever you have in here, you can only select it as a meter once it's been selected as a KPI. So it shows everything in a graphic form. So you'll see here, if I look at my payables figure here, it shows the total is the 50,835, and as the previous was the 44,240, and it shows there where you've exceeded over your comparison. So there is another type of KPI, which is a KPI scorecard, and these provide more complex comparisons among multiple KPIs over multiple date ranges or accounting periods. And the scorecards can also include Excel-like formulas with KPIs and their functions, in their functions and expressions. Another portlet type that we have are reminders. These are used so much, especially by most of us that are using NetSuite on a daily basis. So there are tasks related to the role that you're logged in, and they're like saved searches, and they're drillable into the information that needs to be. So you can see here, for example, this one has journals to approve. Rather than me looking through my menus to find which journals need to be approved, I can open it up in a new tab, and it brings me straight into the tasks at hand that need to be completed. When it comes to your dashboard, you can create your own shortcuts and your own portlets. I'll just show you the shortcuts here. I have them saved. No, I don't have one here, but what you can do is you can have a port that's saved on screen, and it'll be for a shortcut. So if there's menu options that you go into on a regular basis, you can mark it as a shortcut so that when you go back to your dashboard, you can have your most common tasks at hand and easily accessible. You can allow each user to customize their own dashboard, or you can decide to restrict their access to doing this. Design the dashboard that you want for specific roles and publish the dashboard to other users. So the idea of the dashboard is that 90% of your daily tasks can be accessed from your dashboard without having to navigate through menus to do your job. The last thing we're going to cover is the employee holidays and employee tracking through the employee center. So if your business is getting bigger and it's getting larger and it's expanding and processes need to change, and you now need to change your holiday approval process, rather than getting a new piece of software in, you can, if you have NetSuite already in place, you can enable this feature within your system. So you don't need it at the start, but as you find, if your company is growing and the business is getting bigger, rather than getting a separate HR piece of system, you can enable HR modules within NetSuite. So if an employee is only going to be using NetSuite to enter holidays, they won't require full access to NetSuite. They just require an employee center user license. They can use an employee center license for purchase orders, expenses, and for holiday tracking. So what I'm going to do first, I'll do a bit of background over how holidays are set up in NetSuite and different rules and stuff that can be put in for it, and then I'll do a holiday submission for you. So I'm going to log back in as administrator because I need to show you some of the setup information that's on the employee record. So rather than me looking for my list of employees and trying to find the employee, once I know the employee, I can put in my shortcut for EMP to go just for the employee, and I can enter in their name and it brings up the matched results. So once I'm on the employee record, things to note here is on the employee record, they have a supervisor. This is the person that their holiday approvals will go to. So when the employee puts through a holiday request, an email is sent to this person to approve or reject the holiday. Also, once employee suite people HR is added onto NetSuite, you'll have this option here for a time off tab. This gets added in. So you have a time off plan for your employees. So if the majority of your employees, the time off plan, each employee needs to be assigned a plan, and the employee plan dictates what days of the week the employee works and what hours that they work. So if the majority of your employees do 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you can set up a plan for that. And then if any of those employees try to put in for annual leave, say Friday to Monday, NetSuite automatically recognizes Saturday and Sunday are non-working days for that employee, so won't count those days as part of their annual leave. Along with regular working days, you can add in ad hoc non-working days such as bank holidays. So another thing I'll actually use as an example of this, in OSSM, we have employees in the UK and we also have employees in Ireland. So we have different sets of bank holidays. So I have one time off plan set up for UK employees and have added in the UK bank holidays. And then we have the same setup for Ireland. So when an employee tries to book holidays that spans over a bank holiday, the bank holiday day is not included in the days off that are being booked. Also, on a plan, you can assign the different types of leave that can be taken. So you'll see some on screen here. I have annual leave, parental leave, sick leave certified, and sick leave uncertified. So on the employee for the annual leave, you'll see there is also an entitlement balance, and you'll also see what's used so far this year, what has also been scheduled. So this day has already been taken, so it's already been used. Scheduled this year will be dates that have been booked in but not yet used, and then what's available left to be booked. You can also choose that the employees cannot use time that hasn't yet accrued, or you can let them use their annual allowance within the month of January, but obviously they don't have any annual leave left for the rest of the year. So I also have parental leave, and I have 2 different types of sick leave. There's no entitlement specified for these, but you can, if you need to put that in, you can. We've set it up because I want to be able to track and report on days taken for parental leave and days lost due to sick certified and sick uncertified leave. When setting up the annual leave, I specify the amount of leave that the employees are entitled to, and also, do we allow them to carry over a balance? If we do, when does that balance have to be used by? Or if you provide annual leave due to length of service, there are rules for tenure that can be set up. So when an employee reaches that milestone, their annual leave balance will automatically increase. So it removes the need for somebody to manually calculate it. Also on the Access tab, I'm just going to go to this tab on the employee record. They will have a role, and you'll see this employee here has the employee center. So that means this employee does not have access to the full financial information of NetSuite. They don't have they don't have access to this side of NetSuite that has financial information and transactions. All they have access to is the employee center. So with that, I'm going to switch over to my employee center role so you can see how different it is. So now you see I'm logged in as Abby and I'm in the employee center, and you can see I have no menu options. I have no financial information. All I have is a holiday portlet. I have purchases and I have expenses if I've been given permission to do those things. If the user doesn't have permission for them, they won't be there. So time off is what I have at the moment. So I'll just go through the portlet that I have here. So I have my home, which shows you how many days I have left to take. So it doesn't include anything that's already been booked and approved. Once it's approved, your balance will reduce. We have balances. So my annual leave, I have 20 days left to book. I have 1 day already taken. I have no certified leave or parental leave taken. And I can click on requests. And at the moment, I have no outstanding requests, but if I want to see my previous requests, I can click on view all requests and it'll bring me back to anything I have submitted before. If I want to submit a new request, I click request time off. And I choose what dates I want to put it in for. So I could be really lazy, and after the long bank holiday, Patrick's Day weekend, I might have decided, I rang my manager and said, can I take a short notice annual leave? So I'll put through 3 days this week. And I can choose annual leave. And it automatically assumes that the 3 days I'm taking off are for annual leave. But for whatever reason, if some of it is, if maybe 1 day is sick leave and the rest is parental leave or whatever it is, you can change the type of leave for the day. And if you can also set a minimum for an employee to take time off. So you can say that, will you only allow employees to take a day off or a half a day? You can set what the duration is. So if they're going to take all day or half a day. If you specify all day is the minimum, employees will not be able to book a half a day. You'll also see here, I've got a warning. There's another coworker away on these days. I can hover over it and I can see who it is. It will only show me employees that have annual leave booked off and we have the same supervisor, because it recognizes that we're on the same team. So if there are other people with time off, but they have a different supervisor, they won't come up as a warning to you, because NetSuite is recognizing, well, if you have a different supervisor, you're on a different team. If there's other people off, it doesn't stop you from putting in your annual leave. It just brings it to your attention that there are people off. I can put a message if needs be, and then it's telling me here I'm requesting 3 days of annual leave. But you'll also see when I went to go put those in, the 17th, 16th and 17th, which was Saturday and Sunday, are grey day for me because they're non-working days, but also the 18th was grey day for me because I have it in the system that the 18th of March was in lieu of the bank holiday. And I click submit. Once I've submitted my leave, an email is going to be sent to my approver and to let them know that I've put a request through for time off. On the email that I get through, there will be a link on it that I can click approve and reject. But I'm not going to open up my Outlook because there'll be an unforeseen amount of emails in there. So what's the best way to show you is I'm going to switch my role access again. So I'm going to switch into my HR manager role. So if you have a look at my portlet here, I have my reminders in here. So I have one outstanding time request. I can click on that to see what it is. And what it should do is bring me up the request that has just been submitted for Abby. So these are the 3 days that were logged off. I can approve them or I can reject them. I can also see if there's other employees off, and I can use that information to make the decision to approve or reject. If I approve, what that will do is then reduce the employee's balance. And if you're using timesheets in NetSuite, those timesheets are automatically updated with the time off that's taken. Back on my dashboard, if I refresh it, you should see my outstanding reminders due to annual leave to be approved have come off. But I also have another reminder that I've got 2 employees out of the office today. So you can set up reminders for different things. I can click on this and it will show me the 2 employees that are off for today. Also on my calendar, you can add this to your dashboard if you want to, but you have the option here for adding a calendar. And what it will do, it's set for my team. And what it will show me is if there's employees off on the day, it'll indicate that there's time off with 3 dots on it. I can hover over it and it will show me who has time off. So it just gives you a month view. So if you're sitting at the start of the month and you're looking at what things that are coming up and tasks that need to be done in the month, you can schedule things based on the employee leave that's coming up. So you'll know this week you're going to be down 2 people rather than just 1. Or on saying the last week of the month, you've got all of your employees. So that is it really for the holiday approval and for my demonstration for One World and scaling your business with NetSuite. So I'll go back to Roger.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. I'm just checking to make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen. Yeah, so thanks very much. What we ended up covering through an overview into NetSuite One World. As I mentioned, there's over 250,000 companies that NetSuite is basically running their business, because it's a single database, single structure, and that's across 37,000 different legal organizations. And yeah, that's the key bit is all of those intercompany transactions can be handled really easily because of all a single database. Yeah, KPIs, dashboards, and the idea being it's pushing out all of that information that's relevant to those individuals that are there within a role. And yeah, thanks. We covered through how all of that could be managed centrally through the employee portals within NetSuite. So it was all in all, what we're ending up seeing is a tiny little bit of NetSuite functionality, but it's just to give you an idea of flavor of the capabilities. Takeaways from it just before we go into the Q&As. It is true cloud, as you see. Lisa's been demonstrating it through Chrome. It's basically any browser, and then you can access the system and on off you go. And likewise, we use it ourselves. You can access it via your phone or a tablet, basically any browser, and you set it up and off you go. We covered, how it gives you that 360-degree view of an individual role. So the idea being anything that you need to get access to perform your function, that you can see it within a few clicks, that it's all drillable. So again, most people are familiar with using websites to book flights or order goods, online shopping. So from that point of view, it's really easy to use, and it has been designed to work that way right from the start. We mentioned multi-entity and multi-currency. So there's a whole host of different currencies where the system will go off overnight. You can set this up to pull down the latest exchange rates. We don't have any of our customers that don't use that. So even though at the start some people say, no, I want to have control and update it, once they see the capability and the accuracy of it, they say, yeah, fine, we'll go with that. 206 different legislations or tax nexus can be supported globally. So from that point of view, if it's a global organization, all of those can be supported within a single instance of NetSuite. So just to finally wrap up into a Q&A, if there is, I'll just check if there's any questions and log through the portal. Yeah, one question there, how easy is it for a user to be able to configure their own dashboard? I suppose the answer is it is very easy, providing you give them permissions in order to be able to do that. So way at the start, you would have heard me mention about Suite Success, which is NetSuite's templated approach to an implementation. But based on all of their research that went into thousands of hours of consulting and what was deemed a successful project, it's all dinged on leading practices on what is an efficient manner of implementing an ERP platform. So yeah, providing the users of roles, the user has permission to do so, they can build and configure their own dashboard. Another question, are there any other approvals that you can use the employee portal for? Lisa, I'll pass that to you.
Yeah, so yeah, no, that's fine. So you can, if you're using the employee portal, if you want to do PO approval, then that's absolutely fine. That's what the employees can do. They can log into the PO, into the employee center, and granted that if they've been given permission to do so, they can submit purchase orders for approval through the employee center.
Yes, perfect, perfect. And there's no other questions at this stage. So yeah, so at this, I'm conscious and mindful that this is a very much high level whistle stop tour. So yeah, all I'd like to do at this stage is to thank you for joining our session, and please do reach out and we'll have a conversation about your own specific requirements and your own project, and we're happy to get involved in a discussion and covering through the areas that are important for you. So thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you for your time today.